Hi everyone. I know it's late, but I am sewing, and so I thought this would be a good time to show you how I use cuff ribbing on the neckbands, with just a couple little tricks that I do when I put them on, that you might not have thought of. So this is just the way I do it. I am completely self-taught when it comes to sewing, so you might have learned a different way in a sewing class, or through a pattern, like the instructions you read on a pattern, but this is just the way I do it. You might pick up on one, I guess, tip or technique that you want to use, and then the rest you're like, oh, I do it a different way. That's totally fine. I just wanted to have this available to show how I do them, the measurements, and how it turns out each time. So this is my cuff ribbing, and this is about half of it, so it would have the folds at the top and bottom, but I cut it open because I needed 14 inches for this, let's see, or actually 13.6 inches for the 4T shirt that I'm making. So when I take my cuff ribbing, I always cut it 1.75 inches wide. That's just what I like. I like the way it looks. I don't cut off a lot when I'm sewing it. So every neckband that I sew, I always start with a width of 1.75 inches. The second thing I'll do is every single time I sew a neckband, I measure this opening so that it's perfect. Patterns, I don't know what they normally use. I believe it's 85% of the opening, generally, but I'm sure some patterns are different. So what I do is with every single shirt pattern I have, when I have a neckband, I measure it myself. So the easiest way for me to measure it is I put the seams together. This is a raglan, by the way. And I measure this. This was, I want to say like 17 inches or something. I multiply the opening times 0.8, which is 80%. So I always do 80% for cuff ribbing because it's so stretchy. And then when I'm attaching it, just a little hack. This is the front center of the neckband. I slice a little piece there, and the back center of the neckband, and I slice there. You might pin it in fourths. This is the way I do it on smaller stuff that doesn't require pinning in fourths. So this is the neckband I'm going to use. I've already serged it together. So it's a loop again. And then what I do with my neckbands, okay, you can see this, is I fold it in half and I cut into the seam allowance. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm cutting through the, let's see, that would be the left needle and the right needle. So I cut through the left needle, but not the right needle, so it stays intact. But anyways, this is how I get my seams less bulky too. So I make my little band, I cut it in the center, and I fold to each side, and then fold in half because this is how it's going to go in my garment. So I will use clips. Because this kid's stuff is so little, I'm not super picky about making it perfect. But what I will do is I'll mark the front center and the back center of the neckband. I take the shirt that I'm putting it on, and I always put the back on first. So you take this little seam that now I've made flat. So just really quick, the reason why I do that is if you left this on one side, it ends up being really thick on one side and really skinny on the other. So if you, oh, what is the word? This is why I don't do videos this late. Not sandwich. But if you put them opposite, they just lay flatter. Someone will tell me what word I'm thinking of later. So I got the back on, I'm gonna put the front on. And then again, I don't quarter these, but what I will do is you take the side you didn't quarter and I pull it and kind of find where the quarter would be and clip that just so it's a little bit easier. Same thing, I go on the other side, I pull it. If you're just joining, I just want to say this is the way I do it. This isn't how you have to do it. I just wanted to show off the way that I do these with the cuff ribbing. So I have my neckband on here. It's in quarters. And then this is the trick that I wanted to show you that I don't think most people know about. And it seems really simple. And I like to sew, I guess, and make things easier for me. So one of the things that was frustrating when I would start sewing the back of a neckband, when you are putting the material into the machine, I'll show you. So right now this needle thread is tight. You put the foot up and you go to put it in, and it's kind of hard to push all the way over to the right. So what I like to do, and this might not be something you'll learn in a sewing class, but this is how I do it, is I pull these needle threads down a little bit to give it a little bit of slack. And then when I'm putting this into my machine, I can easily put it all the way over to line up. And when it starts sewing, it just catches the slack. And then I'll turn my knife on. So I'm gonna sew this really quickly and then I'll show you how it turns out. I just gotta adjust a little bit. And I do not cut a lot off of this. So if you weren't here in the beginning, all of my cuff ribbing bands start at 1.75 inches wide. That's just what I like. I do that for adult clothing and kids clothing. It's just what I prefer. But then when I put it on the shirt, I don't cut very much off. So. And I make sure I'm always cutting off something, but it's not a lot. I'll show you what the scraps look like in a minute. Almost done. Okay, so I'm getting back to the beginning, and what I do is I leave my knife on until I get to about equal width. So you can see right here is wider than what this is. So I'm gonna keep cutting and then stop, and then I'll turn the knife off in a second. Okay, now I'm turning the knife off. I sew another probably inch and a half. This is how I do it. Again, I like to stop and take the needles off of the project. And then then this is what that looks like. What I'll do with this is, because I cover stitch all my neckbands, is this gets tucked under, and then I just trim this, so pretend that's not there, but it won't even show, and it kind of keeps it covered. So let me show you what it looked like, and then I'll try to post a picture once I've cover stitched it, because I don't have my cover stitch all set up right now. But this is what the band looks like when it's all done. I obviously haven't ironed this at all or anything, but that's what it looks like. So I hope this helps. If you had questions about the cuff ribbing, again, I cut all of my bands at 80% for the cuff ribbing because it is so stretchy and has great recovery. So you really can't go wrong, and it always looks so good, even when you mess up or like might have pulled too much. It really recovers nicely and ends up looking super professional. So, all right, I will post this video to the group. If anyone has questions, feel free to comment. Maybe you do it the same way, maybe you do it different. I would love to hear how you do it, or if you have any tricks that maybe I don't know about. So, all right, talk to you later. Bye.